Welcome, everyone, to the Modernizing Eye Care with AI, Preparing Your Practice for What's Next presentation. Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to your questions throughout the presentation. You can enter them by clicking on the Q&A icon on the top of your screen. My name is Linda Park, and it is my pleasure to be with you today to introduce Dr. Justin Manning and Jeremy Law. Dr. Manning is the Chief Member Experience Officer at PECAA, where he leads the member experience team, encompassing member education, the member business advisory services, events, and the Cold Start program. He is the founder and host of the Practice Advantage podcast, bringing business management and team culture wisdom to private practice optometrists. Prior to joining PECAA, he founded the Keratoconus and Scleral Lens Institute at Better Vision in Colorado Springs, and iLeader, a consulting company focused on leadership development, technology in eye care, and population health. He's been published in Review of Optometric Business, Vision Monday, Optometric Management, and has lectured nationally and internationally on specialty contact lenses, design thinking, population health, and the patient experience. Dr. Manning earned his Doctor of Optometry degree from Ohio State University and completed a residency in geriatric optometry, holds a Master of Public Health degree and a graduate certificate in customer experience. He is driven to help all independent eye care professionals grow their businesses and enjoy their practices every single day. Jeremy is an Eyefinity Software Solutions product manager with 15 years of eye care experience. He's a former optometric technician and office manager. In his current role, Jeremy collaborates with doctors and Eyefinity engineers to design enhancements for Eyefinity and Compass, and you can visit him in the Eyefinity booth at Any Vision Expo. In his spare time, he enjoys playing a variety of musical instruments, including guitar, violin, and harp. Welcome, Dr. Manning and Jeremy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. I have to say before we get started, both my bio and headshot were obnoxiously large. Maybe we should use AI to touch both of those up and maybe make me look more dashing like Jeremy's there. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us today. Really excited to share more about artificial intelligence, the role that it plays in optometry and optometric practice. I'm really excited to share the stage with Jeremy, and near the end, he's going to share some really exciting new things coming. Gives you a little teaser of what you can be on the lookout for when it comes to Eyefinity and the Encompass platform. But let's go ahead and dive in to what artificial intelligence is. Now, I am not a technical individual. I am not a computer scientist or programmer. So for those of you out there in the audience, you may go, man, I know more about AI than this guy. And you know what? That is okay, because the beauty of artificial intelligence is that it is constantly changing, and there are so many ways that we can leverage it in our personal lives and in our professional practice lives as well. Look, this is a topic we could speak for at least an hour and a half or 2 hours on. We only have, if I look at the clock, another 25 minutes. So we're going to move through this quickly. But what at the core is artificial intelligence? It's software, and it's software that operates much like human intelligence. Now, it has the ability to process information, think, make decisions, take certain actions, and respond to the data that it is given. Now, AI is not new. The reality is that artificial intelligence has been around for some time, from everything from machine learning in the past. Even in eye care itself, it's been in use since before the pandemic. But why we're really talking about artificial intelligence now is the capabilities have expanded dramatically in how we can leverage it. The advent of large language models, the advent of super AI, so like ChatGPT, the generative nature where it has been trained on so much data that it now has the ability to take in information from us as individuals and how we interact with it, as I mentioned earlier, process that information and then generate responses. That's the generative aspect of generative AI. So from generative AI, in generating text, generating documents, generating images, generating content for videos even. That is why we're talking about the AI today, because of the capabilities that it has. We're even moving beyond generative AI into the space of agentic AI, where the artificial intelligence now has the capabilities to go beyond just generating content or generating a response. It has the ability to go and perform tasks on our behalf. I actually just used it in a personal way the other day. Was working on my wife's her website, her side hustle website, and I sent the agentic AI that I use into her website platform to go and make specific changes to free up my time. So the aspect why we're talking about AI is the capabilities have expanded so dramatically in both in our personal and professional lives. The opportunities that it plays for us in eye care are significant. So it has the capabilities to support us operationally, and it has the capabilities of supporting us from a clinical standpoint as well. So let's keep going. We can go ahead and move on to the next couple slides here. So we just spent some time talking about AI. So I'd like to move now into a bit more about AI in eye care. So before we get into some specifics, I just want to share a couple stats with you about practices using AI today. So first of all, AI is being used by your colleagues. If you're not using it in your practice now, I would highly encourage you to do so. So first of all, 65% of practices out there have integrated some level of AI into their practice operations. And 73% of those practices have found that AI has actually improved their operations and their efficiencies to the point that it's lowering some of their costs overall. And then 63% are using it in the space of just managing their inventory and their optical stock. So the realities are AI is here. We're using it now. We're using it every single day in our practice. Again, we're going to talk through some unique ways. And if you're not utilizing it in a way that is benefiting your practice, some steps you can start taking today to start utilizing it more and more in your practice. So these are some of the stats of how practices are using it now. Let's talk about some of the ways that we are using AI in eye care overall. And I want to take a moment. Healthcare, as we know, we're all in this space. The care that we deliver to patients is critical, but the system as a whole is not efficient. It's generally effective, but it's not as efficient. We can complain about all of the ways that our healthcare system needs to improve. And the reality is this is where AI is entering into healthcare, and really some of the biggest opportunities we have in healthcare our biggest opportunities we have for AI is in healthcare. So the way that I look at it from a practice standpoint, and again, our world on the PECAA side of things is all about private practice and the small business of running your practice. Really, there's two ways that we leverage AI. In my opinion, one of the biggest ways we can use it is in the operational category, how we run our business. And then there's the clinical side of things as well, where we can leverage AI to support and enhance the clinical care that we deliver to patients. So let's start on the operational side. I'll share a couple cases, or I'll share a few examples of AI. None of these do we have any financial interest in whatsoever. But if you caught at the beginning, I mentioned that AI has been being used in eye care since before the pandemic. In 2018, IDXDR, which is an AI platform that analyzes retinal images and can accurately diagnose diabetic retinopathy, 2018 was when it was approved by the FDA. And it's, while we may not utilize it in practice day in and day out, it's been in this space since 2018. But as we look at the operational side of the practice, PECAA leverages AI and supports our members with a machine learning tool called PECAA Ads, where we can leverage machine learning, taking data, analyzing data, and then adjusting your practice's marketing to target the patients that you want to drive into your practice or your existing patient base about new services. It learns from the responses from those that it interacts with, and then further targets the marketing on your behalf for your private practice directly to those patients. We have members leveraging generative AI to upload every month their P&L and allow them to analyze their financials and where they are. We have practices leveraging AI to generate content for their social media platforms. So there's a lot of different ways that members are using, practices are using it on the operational side. On the clinical side, there's companies that have AI for assessing retinal images to identify risks of Alzheimer's and dementia, disease risk progression, leveraging retinal imaging for macular degeneration, development, and progression. And same goes for biological age and cardiovascular disease. So there's a lot of tools on the clinical side where AI can come in. And as we look at these individual items here on the screen, I mean, these are the biggest challenges that we face on patient demand and the staffing challenges that we have. How do we deliver and enhance the care that we provide, and ultimately provide a competitive advantage for our practices and our patients? So AI plays a huge role across the entire spectrum of how we can really improve our operations and the clinical side of things when it comes to our practice. So let's continue on and talk a little bit about preparing your practice for using AI. And I would venture, as I look at the 25 folks that are on this audience, in the audience today, you're probably using it in some way, shape, or form, which is absolutely fantastic. But if you're on the fence or you're not fully leveraging it, here are some ways that you can start and enhance the ways that your practice will be using AI in the future. So tip number one, study up and start small. We get this question a lot. What do I use like a ChatGPT or a Copilot? What do I use it for? And I heard one of my colleagues say, ask it. That's the best place to start. Ask it what you should use it or could use it for. So when it comes to leveraging AI, whether it's on the clinical side or the operational side, study up, learn what's out there, learn what capabilities you may already have with the systems that you have in your practice, with the software and the equipment that you have in your practice. What AI tools are already available? And again, start small. Start on the generative AI side. Start feeding it small questions, or how do I do this? I often use it like a search engine. I had it create an itinerary for my family vacation here in a couple months. So again, that's not clinical, but it's a very personal way where you can just start by uploading your practice's P&L. Hey, I need to renegotiate my lease terms. Can you help me write a letter to help me renegotiate the terms of my practice, my business lease? Eyefinity has a great blog, Seeing Eye to Eye, Artificial Intelligence in Eye Care, that's available on eyefinity.com. a great place. Again, if you're not quite sure exactly where to start or how, I would encourage you to take that step and check out that blog post. Our second tip, and I actually kind of got into this already, review what you already have. The likelihood is you have equipment, you have software, you have tools in your practice that are already available to you. So starting small, evaluate what you have. Again, your image management software, your scheduling tools, your EHR platform, your practice management system, really they often have these tools already. See what you have available to you today. All right, tip number 3. Prepare your patients. This is really important because as AI advances, and we're going to be using AI in our clinic more regularly, it's important, one, that the softwares, the AI platforms that you may engage with are HIPAA compliant, that they have confirmed that they meet all of the HIPAA regulations and requirements and that they're HIPAA qualified. And because patient data is going to be interacting with these HIPAA safe software platforms, it's important to inform your patient and have consent that, again, advise them that you're going to be using, say, an ambient listening tool to help you document in your chart what's going on. The patient does need to know that, and you just need to get that patient's consent ahead of time. So preparing your patients, but back to that competitive advantage piece, when you leverage these tools, it differentiates your practice, it advances the experience that the patient has, and really levels up the quality of care and the experience you create for your patients. All right, let's move on to our next tip. Practice, 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 practice. That actually goes back to the start small. Again, let's use this ambient listening tool as an example. AI is not perfect. It's not going to get things right 100% of the time. So practice how you would say speak to it, the language that it would use, and how it interprets and ultimately documents what it is that you're saying. So you will, just like it will be learning from you, it is important that we learn how to best interact with AI. Again, if we're using, say, a listening tool or device. So practice, practice, practice. Learn where you have opportunities to do things a little bit differently and learn as you go. So from there, we keep going to our next tip. And that's what I just mentioned. Learn, learn, learn. There's so many things. This space always is changing. There's new things that become available. Do not stop learning. AI is not stopping, it's learning. That's how it continues to advance and grow, is from the data that it's learning off of. We can do the very same thing. So be savvy, understand the opportunities that it has for you in your practice, and just be aware of all of the tools and how to best leverage them in your practice. Jeremy, it sounds like you've got some fun, exciting things to share on the Encompass side. So
I do. But if you know how to use the Teams emotes, I would say give a round of applause to Dr. Manning. That was a fantastic overview. Thank you for covering all of that. Those are some great tips because I know a number of people. Thank you, everyone. I know a number of people have come to me and asked, like, hey, what can I do to get started? You know, you find it kind of intimidating, I think, a lot of times to get started with AI. And you made a ton of great points, especially the fact of, you know, that it's been around for such a long time. You know, certainly AI is not brand new, but the ability for it to be delivered to you and to be used by individuals is certainly, you know, a relatively recent advancement. Now, folks who are already using our Encompass platform and using our EHR know that we have a native iPad app. And that's really what is going to be powering the solution I'm going to be talking about in just a second. But you know, let's go ahead and get into it. Keeping an eye on the clock here. So if you're already using Encompass, you know that you know, our goal at Eyefinity ultimately is to liberate providers to provide great patient care. I don't want your EHR to be in your face, distracting you from your patients. And the AI tools that we're working on are really just an advancement of that strategy to free you up to spend more face-to-face time with your patients. And as Dr. Manning said, help you differentiate your practice from anybody else's. If you've already gone to your PCP recently, or maybe one of your other doctors, you've probably experienced this where they ask, hey, can I use some sort of AI scribe tool? And in doing so, they basically free themselves up to just have a conversation with you the whole time. That's what we're trying to do. So based on our platform, we already have a history of using AI throughout Encompass. So if you're using Kaleidoscope, you're already using AI for your frame board replenishment. If you're using our EHR, we already use predictive analytics. We use adaptive learning to record how you use the platform, right? What are the contact lenses you prescribe most frequently? What are the conditions you treat your patients for most frequently? And what are the plans that you use to address those? Those are all things that we do today to kind of learn from what you do, and our system keeps track of that and then tries to make your workflows more efficient. And certainly, what we're about to talk about is just I think, a huge step forward in that space. So, coming soon to Encompass, we have an ambient listening solution that's powered by AI that's going to automatically document your exam note based on your conversation with your patient. So this is AI that speaks your language. It's trained specifically to understand medical terminology, and it's integrated directly into our iPad app. So you don't have to buy any new hardware or anything like that. You basically can just have the iPad in your hand or sitting on the desk. And our goal is to remove the need to do pretty much most of the manual documentation when it comes to an exam. So let's talk a little bit about that. So like I mentioned, it's specifically trained on optometric terminology. We're trying to reduce documentation clicks and taps, and it's designed to meet strict regulatory standards and EHRs, right? That's a huge part of it as well. And so as you're thinking about solutions, whether it be what we're developing for Encompass or another tool, the things that questions I would encourage you to ask would be, A, is it integrated into your EHR? There are tools that are integrated into EHRs and tools that are third-party tools. And just think about, how much transcription am I going to have to do if I'm going to a third-party tool and then having to copy and paste things constantly back into my record? Is it really saving me time? That's a question I would ask. Additional hardware. I would be asking my questions about, like, okay, what hardware do I need for this solution? Do I need microphones? Do I need a new iPad? Do I need to have any kind of audiovisual equipment that I don't have today? And I would also think about, will it interrupt your exam flow? So when it comes to our solutions, we think really, really hard, and we spend a ton of time thinking about how can we get out of your way as much as possible so that you can connect with your patients. And you definitely want to maybe ask folks, what is the experience when I'm using your AI? Is it a experience where I'm going to need to say, okay, I'm ready to take your chief complaint. Let me hit the button. Okay, let's start talking. And then maybe something crosses over, the conversation goes into, you're about to do your slit lamp exam, or you're starting to talk about diagnoses, and you say, oh, hold on, I need to let that save and process. Okay, now we're going to the vision exam section of AI. So let's go ahead and start that. Our solution is designed to just let it run the entire duration of the visit, and at the end, process everything for you. And in that moment, you're in the complete, you're in the driver's seat. So you decide what stays and what goes. But the point is that you're not having to start and stop. You definitely don't want a solution that requires you to have to interrupt the patient in the middle of the exam. So in terms of how this works with our platform, I've already kind of covered that. But again, you're going to want an iPad, of course. If you're not already using our iPad app, I definitely encourage you to do that in the exam lane. Certainly when you're looking for an iPad, if you're about due to get a new one, I would buy one that has what Apple calls the M2 chip or later. So they have an M2, M3, and even now an M4 chip. So you'll want to look for one that has that, and that's because that'll make the experience with the AI that's going to power the experience and make it a lot faster compared to other AI tools that you may have looked at in the past. And ultimately, with this, it is designed for the iPad app, and that is specifically, like I mentioned, so that you can have those rich patient experiences. I mean, I experienced this just recently. I had to go to the doctor, and I had to visit a couple times, and this was a new doctor that I hadn't met before, and I was just kind of blown away because all he did was he said, hey, can I just use my AI tool to record the visit, put it on the desk, And the entire visit was just having a one-on-one conversation. I didn't have my doctor turning away to the keyboard to type things in or anything like that. And what I walked away with, I said, I'm definitely coming back to this doctor again. So now he's my regular doctor. So I would say definitely think about how this is going to impact your doctor-patient communications. I think ultimately it does a lot of good in that space. So AI is here. It's not something that I don't think we can afford to ignore anymore. As Dr. Manning already pointed out, it's already reshaping how we deliver care. It's reshaping how we manage our practices, and it's definitely impacting how we connect with our patients. So as you're looking at different tools and things, definitely I encourage you to think about Eyefinity and Compass, since it is an all-in-one platform that is going to securely, intelligently, seamlessly help you incorporate AI into your business. If you want to learn more, please don't be shy. You can scan this QR code that you see on the screen right now, and we're happy to do a demo for you of the tool that I was just talking about and what we're looking to do in some more specifics. So please go ahead and request a demo, and we're happy to share not only with our scribe, but other plans that we have related to Encompass and our patient engagement tools. And there's just a bunch of areas where we're looking to incorporate artificial intelligence to make your business a little bit more efficient and improve your patient care. All right, and I think that wraps it up for me. I do want to leave a couple minutes for questions here. So if you have questions, let's go ahead and take a look. I see one from Julie. All right, so Julie has two questions. One, is it possible to use an iPad without the M2 chip or later, or is this a requirement? So for the solution that we're building, and please, if you want to learn more, I definitely scan the QR code. I can talk about this in some more detail, but you will need an iPad. It is a requirement to have an iPad with the M2 chip or later. The M2 chip's been out for about 5 years. Though you can get some of those secondhand, and it's not too expensive. But the reason for that is that a lot of the processing for our AI solution happens on your device. And the benefit from that is that you never have to wait in line behind other folks. I don't know if you've used things like ChatGPT or Midsummer, and sometimes if there's high traffic, you're placed in a queue behind a lot of folks, and it'll say, oh, we'll get to your prompt in 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes. That's obviously not tenable from a situation where you're trying to check the patient out. So our solution heavily leverages the onboard processing chip of the iPad. So the M2 chip or later is a requirement. I see another question, which is, does Encompass provide best practices or keywords to ensure we receive the best results? Yes. So if you decide that you're interested in our AI solution and you want to move forward, we provide training and coaching both from humans and also a bunch of help material that will help you get started so that you can understand what you need to change maybe in how you explain things out loud, right? It's just like hiring a scribe, right? You do need to dictate things out loud, and sometimes you just have to be reminded of that. So yeah, you can look forward to training. You can look forward to help documentation and videos, as well as the app itself providing a level of coaching to you as well. And so the combination of all three of those things, we hope will really ensure folks are successful. And does this complete in real time, ensuring final RXs and codes can be sent to the point of sale? Yes, yeah. So like I said, the requirement around the M2 chip is really to ensure that this occurs in real time. And what you'll see as we release our solution is that we're going to continue to invest in it. So at the beginning, if not everything ends up in the specific fields, and some of it, you might still need to do some manual documentation. By the end, our goal is to ultimately have everything be automated. And we've already had a lot of success there where we can have, you basically verbally dictate what your diagnoses and plans are, and it actually enters it into the system as if you were to enter it yourself, or if you had a scribe entering it into the specific fields, which ultimately, as you said, that real-time experience that allows you to send RXs and things is super important. So definitely that's top of mind for us, and we will be powering that experience both in the short term and then just make it even better in the long term. These are awesome questions. Thank you so much.
Yes,
Let's
perfect.
see.
Thank you. It looks like that is all the time we have for questions today too, but if you would like additional information, please just scan the QR code and we can reach out to you with additional information. And that was a lot of information. So thank you so much, Jeremy and Dr. Manning, for taking the time to share all of the exciting things happening with AI and eye care. And also thank you to everyone on the line for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us today. This concludes our presentation.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.